Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Vedic Lunar Scope. Today we're going to talk about an intensifying aspect between Venus and Saturn. Now, this particular aspect, has been going on for a while, but it's intensifying and will become precise on the 26th of May. During the time of the exactitude of this aspect, Saturn will be in Purva Ashadha Nakshatra, whilst Venus will be in Ardra Nakshatra. So here's the deal. How can you go on in a situation where you're not being true to yourself, where you're not really following what your heart is telling you that you should follow, where on a certain level you just are finding yourself in a position where you're having to pretend? How can you keep doing something like that and then somehow think that you're going to find happiness? You're not, are you? And how could you? Because the thing is if you're not living in alignment with who you are, and instead you're like in a position where you're having to pretend because of something that you really feel that you need to dedicate and devote a lot of your attention to, then you're just, you're not being yourself. And when you're not being yourself, how can you relax? And when you can't relax, how can you enjoy yourself? And how can anything in your life reach a level where you feel like you're having this breakthrough and achieving this thing that you're really wanting to achieve if you're just kind of, for lack of a better way to put it, living a lie, right? It's just not going to work, is it? So the question is, why do you think it is going to work? Why do I think it's going to work? Why does anybody think it's going to work? Because, hey, let's face it, this is affecting all of us in one particular area of our life. And just briefly, if you'd like some information on where this might be impacting you personally, you can schedule an astrological service with me. So when we are out of alignment with ourselves, we can only live in servitude. We can only live in a narrow way with no room to move in, because we're just stuck in a particular pattern and the world's going by us. That very thing that we're wanting to be able to achieve passes us by because we're so busy focusing our attention on something else, that very thing that you want could be presenting itself right at that very moment to you, but you're shutting the door to it because you're not going to be true to yourself, right? How can that be wise? Well, it's not wise. It's not wise, but somehow, somewhere, I should say too, because you care about someone or something, you're devoting yourself wholeheartedly to a cause that really on many levels keeps bringing you over and over again up against a dead end, right? So imagine that you're running, right? You're running, right? And you just go boom, right smack into a brick wall, right? Or you go boom, right smack into a glass door, right? And you pick yourself up and you dust yourself off. And there's something the other side of that brick wall. There's something the other side of that glass door that you're trying to get to. Well, you just hit that brick wall. You just hit that glass door, but you pick yourself up and you run up against it again, and you bang up against it again. Do you think that brick wall is going to give? No, probably not, right? Do you think the glass door is going to give? Well, maybe it'll break, but it'll shatter, and then what kind of state are you going to be in when you get to the other side of that glass door to even have any type of enjoyment whatsoever in the first place, right? So why keep doing something over and over again? It's like that age-old saying, to do something over and over again and expect a different result, I'm probably paraphrasing here, is insanity. And it is. It is. Equally, to live in a position where you're a servant to something or someone and not a servant to that divine within you, that wholeness within you, is really just not going to place you in a position where you're experiencing a life that's well lived. But we think, for instance, I'll give you some for instances. We think that, well, I need money. So because I need money, I need to do this, and I just need to pretend in order to find myself in a position where I can have that money. You might get that money. Are you going to be happy? No, because you're living a lie. Or I want this fame, so I have to keep pretending so that I can achieve this level of fame. Well, you might get that fame, you might get that status, but are you going to be happy? No. I want this home, and because I want this home, I have to find myself in a position where I'm not being true to myself, but it'll get me that home, but you won't have any security inside of that home because you're not secure with who you are, right? Or, I really, would like to have a child in my life, but in order to have a child in my life, it means I have to not be true to who I am as an individual. And then you find yourself in a position where you're not able to enjoy the blessings that a child can bring into your life in the first place. So we always have to go back to square one. We have to go back to square one, and we have to really take a look inside of ourselves, not just at what it is that we really desire, but instead at who it is that we really are. And how on a certain level, I wouldn't even say a certain level, I would say a very precise level, being in alignment with who we are brings into our lives the prosperity that we need in the first place. And so you have to look at the truth of that. You're going to get a chance to do that over the next several days. It may be a bit humbling to do so. You could even say it might even be a little bit humiliating to do so, right? But one thing I can tell you, all these different paths, all these different methods, these different angles that you've been taking on a situation, they're most likely not going to work. There is one particular thing that you have been doing that you need to devote a little more time and attention to. I'm going to talk about that here in a moment. But, there's this part of you that really wants to achieve something. And then, but at the same time, there's a part of you that wants to achieve something else. And because you want to achieve this something else, then you're not able to achieve the other thing, right? And so you hold yourself back from achieving this quote unquote other thing because there's this secondary thing, like, that we've been talking about, that you feel that you have to be a servant to. Okay? So Saturn will represent that thing that you have to be a servant to. Venus will represent those areas of life that you're devoting a lot of time and attention to because of that thing that you feel you have to be a servant to. But underneath all of those things, and so by Saturn representing and Venus representing, I mean the houses, all the things that they're indicators for. Underneath the surface, underneath all of that, is an individual who's hiding behind all these masks so that they can somehow, do what they feel is getting on with things. But you're not getting on with things, you're getting into things. And getting into things is only going to lead you to that eventual dead end. Now, there is one area of life where you've got one foot and maybe a very large step outside of the door. You're already started along a path. You haven't completely dedicated yourself in that area because part of you feels like you're stuck. Part of you feels like you're in somewhat of a holding pattern. Devote more time and attention to that. Devote more time and attention to that. That's represented by Jupiter in your chart at this particular moment, right? Whatever Jupiter rules. Devote more time and attention to those particular areas. Let things develop in that area. Let things be nourished in that area. That's going to result in you feeling like you're being truer to yourself, like you're living from your heart, and as if you're actually making some progress. Sure, it may require a sacrifice. Anything worthwhile does require a sacrifice, but it's a damn sight better than running into a brick wall over and over again. If you need a little bit of help repairing that nose after you've kind of been going boom, boom, boom against a brick wall, right? I can help you with the areas of life that you might be stuck with. And I can do that if you're willing to schedule an astrological service with me, which is available through the link which you'll see above in this video right about this moment. That's going to do it for this special edition of the Vedic Lunar Scope for the angle between Saturn and Venus directly opposite each other in the sky on the 26th of May 2018. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.